Morning, friends. We are live in all the places. And if you are watching on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and get notified whenever we go live and we do a new video. I've got some awesome interviews set up coming up. One that is happening tomorrow over on my Instagram. XO Rachel Smith is my handle over there on Instagram if you want to head over there and follow me there. We're going to be doing live with Christiana, and she is founder of, founder of Introverted Writers Club. I believe that's what it's called. In fact, I should look it up so I get it right tomorrow. Anyways, we're going to be talking about why our words matter and how important that is to pay attention and be careful with our words. A couple other interviews that I have coming up, one on Monday that is going to be over there on YouTube. Just want to give you these announcements every time right now so that nobody that wants to be involved misses those. The best way is to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified. All other platforms have more difficulty giving notifications ahead of time, but anyways, that interview I'm going to be doing on Monday is with a friend of mine who was declared, or how should I say it? She was medically deemed as infertile or barren, if you want to call it that. So her story is very, very amazing and completely a God story. And if you want to jump into YouTube for that, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss it. Okay, on to what we're actually talking about today, and it is, did God really say? I titled it this, pardon me, I find that I get this frog in my throat when I'm going to say some stuff that's really close, dear to my heart. Anyways, this question is the question that has been the one that most for me has made me sort of not be able to walk in the fullness or purpose that God has for me. It isn't a new question. If you go all the way back to Genesis and Adam and Eve and the fall, when the snake said, basically, the snake said, did God really say? I think that if you're hearing that, pardon me, I don't have any water with me, but I'll drink some coffee. Who can relate? Anyway, I believe that this is a good indicator that you are probably actually hearing from the Lord. When that accusation, did God really say, comes about, I start looking closer. I start pressing in. I start saying, why wouldn't he say, you know? But I originally planned to talk about, not that comparison causes deafness and vision loss when it comes to walking out your purpose with the Lord. But as I was thinking on that, I thought, in my life, I might have first come to this place where I got asked the question, did God really say? And then my eyes started looking around to see what other people were doing. Maybe not just other people, but just looking and gauging. I'm going to say that it's not completely a bad idea to look around and kind of gauge as well, but you do not live, when you're living by what God is telling you, when you're living according to him, you are not living by sight alone. You're living by the unseen. Okay, so when you look around and you see in the natural, you have to see with spiritual eyes what's going on in the natural. So it's a combination of going, okay, I can see where things are going in the natural, but I can also see the unseen underlaying layer of what God is doing in the midst of that. And then another level of knowing what God is asking you to do. Okay, do you know what all of the plans are and what the results will be? No. So this is where the accusation, did God really say, tries to come in and kill and steal and destroy that word that God is bringing into your life to call you forth into your destiny and into your purpose. So I've learned a few things over the years. How, number one is how paying attention to how I interact with God myself, my own personal language with the Lord. He speaks to each person. Each person has access to God, that wants access to God. He created our whole body to have relationship with him. Our whole body, every cell in our body is living and being by his word and his will. That's crazy. That's crazy in itself. Okay. So every single person that's alive on the earth today is alive because God wills them to be alive. Some might ask why with some people. You're going to have to ask the Lord about that. I would encourage us to stay the course, to stay steady, to set our face like flint before the Lord, to not look around and get caught up into the comparison thing, because what does that do? It takes your eyes off of him and onto this, which is not the arena that God is talking about. Now, the natural things speak of the supernatural, okay? I see signs and signposts of what God is doing in my natural life. To mostly, God is actually just confirming his word to you through multiple avenues, through strange things that you notice. Not like, oh, that is so off the wall. It's just like things that you wouldn't normally notice. Like, say, I think a lot of people might tell you this. They notice certain times of the day, like for a season, or they wake up at certain times of the day, every day for a season. And it's the same exact time every time. Or, you're driving down the road and somebody's license plate says something to you and you're like, whoa, the Lord is speaking to me. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to continue to help that recognition of God in your life. Okay. So we're talking about, how do we hear God's voice? How do we know he really said? How do we establish that line of communication? Well, it's already there. I believe that God, while he's never asleep, he never slumbers. So he is always available. He is ever present. He never leaves us. So I believe that our line of communication is open 24/7 on his side. We have to step into the understanding of how he's communicating with us and how we receive the messages and information between us and God. I hope this is making sense. But for me, my journey in my life and how I've learned how to recognize God's voice and his work in my life, I believe every one of us have a prophetic history. If you don't understand what that means, all that means is that we have a history where we can look back and we can see the places that God was speaking, but we didn't maybe recognize it in the moment. Okay. Retrospect. A lot of things make more sense in retrospect. However, you can learn how to make note of something and go, I know that God is saying something here, and I know that I need to watch that. I need to watch that line there, or I need to position myself to be able to receive what God is going to do, like what he's doing right here. And there's going to be a time of receiving. You might want to call that harvest in whatever arena it is. Okay. So you might be able to see, like, for me, a lot of times this will indicate that God is saying or doing something. I run into people that I never see. Okay. I never see, or somebody that I never talk to talks to me, and I go, okay, I'm listening, right? I'm listening. This conversation was set up by the Lord. So anyways, I guess I'm just wanting to get on here and encourage you that you were created to interact with God himself. And he sent his only son, Jesus Christ, so that that communication would have no hindrance. Okay. That's part of the reason. And part of the reason we interact with God and read his word, one is that we can live our lives to the best that there is. The best life that we could have is living in relationship with Jesus. That is the best life. He has our best interest in mind. You want to know what God says when you know that he's trustworthy. So what do we need first before we can actually hear clearly is to know who's talking to us, to know that we belong to him and that he is trustworthy and that he cares for us and he cares for all the little things. If you need more stories about this stuff, please do go over to my YouTube and subscribe and hit the bell, because we are going to be talking about God stories over there. Stories of people that are ordinary people having extraordinary interactions with the Lord and living out their lives in quote unquote the mundane, but actually living miraculous lives. Okay. So I just want to talk about that with you guys, and I want you to be encouraged. I love all of you here. The Lord loves you. If you've been feeling a nudge, like I want to get better at interacting with God, praying, worship, reading my Bible, getting anchored in the word of the Lord so that I can be solid and not swayed by the crashing waves or whatever things are happening around me, the circumstances and situations. You need to be grounded. Then join my group on Facebook as well. It's called Lost in Opinions to Grounded in Truth. It's going to have a name change soon because the Lord is speaking about increase to me, and he has been for 3 years. And I realize that that's really the thing that I'm going to start talking more about alongside godliness, meaning interaction, relationship with Jesus. So it's going to be around the subjects of godliness, wealth, and wisdom. Okay, guys, love you so much. Talk to you soon, and I'll see you in the other arenas online.